Ooh, look over there.
Fanon?
Theory. Theater.
Munoz.
Roy. Butler.
Spillers.
Oh, Derrida. Althusser. Mbembe.
Mbembe.
Theater. Spivak.
What the theory?
Hello everyone and welcome to What the Theory, where we try to tell you what the frick theory is saying in 20 minutes or under. And just to give you context about who we are and why we're doing this for you, I'm Ariana Carter. I come from Southern California, and kind of what brought me to the program that we're all in is that I learned how to make art through my undergrad of studying performance. But now I get to study what performance does, how it is in our everyday, and really how influential it is to our life and everything.
Hi everybody, my name is Arlesia. I'm in the same program as Ariana and Nína. I come from Dallas, Texas, and I'm primarily a classical musician. So in our program, I want to study critical race theory and the absence of minorities in the classical fine arts sphere.
Yes, I'm Nína Hjálmarsdóttir and I come from Iceland, Reykjavik, Iceland. And just to say, we're all in performance studies at NYU Tisch, the MA program. And I'm a performance artist. I really wanted something to broaden my horizon in that. And my research interests of the last few years have been settler colonialism, Iceland as a post-colonial object, and whiteness, image, and identity politics.
But yeah, that leads us into why we're doing this whole thing. So we are all in the same program, and a bunch of what we learn in our program is led by theory, which the way we learn theory is there's definitely going to be some confusion in the picture.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. So the idea for this project came because me and Arlesia, we had to do a presentation, and we were reading the text that we had to read for the presentation, what the presentation was supposed to be about. And we were sitting together in the Tisch performance study room, and going through it sentence by sentence.
We were just so
trying
confused.
to understand this text.
What
And
is
our
it?
classmate was with us, and she was just laughing at us so much. And we were like, wow, we should make a podcast. We should do a video of people reading and understanding theory. I wish this existed so I could go now and on YouTube and watch other people going through this specific text.
Yeah, we do so many readings in our program, and there isn't I wish we had a composed just series of each of these readings that we've done that just kind of breaks down what the main points of these readings are. So that's why we are here presenting.
It's like when Manuel Miranda once tweeted, if there's something that you want and it doesn't exist, it's your fault. You gotta be the one who has to create it. So here we are.
Yeah, and then Arlesia came up with this amazing title, What the Theory.
Yeah, what the theory?
And
what the heck are we theorying?
This is the first ever episode. Right now we're in Washington Heights, New York. It's Sunday morning. I stayed over. We're soft. We're ready to get into it. And we didn't choose a very easy first subject.
Oh, we chose the first one that we all felt really confused.
The most what the theory thing ever.
Even our teacher, I remember on our lecture day, was sometimes I read through Derrida, and I'm like, what? And I remember thinking, if the teacher is confused about the text, why are we looking at it? But we gotta all be confused together, so here we are to lead you through your confusion and also be confused with you.
Yeah, so this essay is called Signature Event Context.
Yep.
And yeah, it's from Limited Ink, this book. And so what we're thinking is that maybe you just went on this because you want to know more about Derrida, but if you're reading this article, especially watching this hopefully would be helpful. Or we're just confusing you even more.
Hopefully not confusing you anymore, but
yeah. So Derrida, Jacques Derrida, Algerian-born French theorist. He's known for being one of the people who are the leaders of the post-structuralism movement. So in short, you probably know this, but structuralism means that everything's connected. So this idea that like everything makes sense. Like this thing is like connected to this thing, and like everything can be understood, right? And then post-structuralism like actually is about like deconstructing that concept and like showing us that how humans have made the world make sense might not be so simple, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how I feel like what we talk about, what difference is in this essay of signature event context. Difference is basically, what I understand from it, is that word that explains what the thing is and the difference between how we can actually explain it. So you know when you're just trying to explain something but you can't quite put the words into it, like it's basically saying like it's not going to be able to do that, and that's okay. Like not everything is going to be able to be explained, spoken about in the spoken word, in the linguistics.
Yep.
And I think, I don't know, I really juggled with the meaning of deference, which is like one of the main points we're going to talk about. And I took it to mean like the absence of something is a sign of absence, but not just like any absence.
Yeah. For me, so what like post-structuralism is, like difference, which is the main concept of this text, is like an example of what post-structuralism is. So like post-structuralism like is the belief that things cannot be understood in isolation. So like humans, we've taken the whole world and we've put it into entities, like this couch, Arlesia, like gender,
we are separate things.
Sexualities, like we're always putting things into binaries, you know, like binary categories, being like light, dark, like woman, man, like all these things. But actually, if we really look at it, it isn't this like isolated. It isn't this like you can't categorize it. Like it's all fluid. Like you know, like gender, sexuality, desire is very fluid, or like bodies, or like and we should actually be changing the way we think about things. And Derrida is just showing us how language is that, but actually you can take difference and you can actually put it on everything, you know? So it's showing us, like this text is showing us that language actually doesn't work. But the thing is that language is the only thing that we have to explain things. And like for me the core concept of what he's saying is, so we have the signifier and the signified. Right, the signified is the okay, so let's just take an example, like a cat. Like the concept of a cat, like what concept, like in like, so the signifier is like the word C-A-T,
the sound of how it comes out of your mouth.
Yeah, like the image you have in your head. And then the signified is like some kind of real, like what it really is.
Yeah, what the cat really.
Well, yeah. And what Derrida shows us.
What is truly the cat?
Yeah, and what Derrida shows us is that like it can't be put into like binaries like that, and like that. It always goes like in
a cycle.
Yeah,
actually,
so difference means like a deferral.
Like when we just went home for Thanksgiving, and some people have some very traditional thoughts of like, this is this and that is that. And so like introducing like something else other being an option is like,
you know what?
No, I don't know that. Like then that's bringing into something else. Then I have to understand a whole new thing, and it's like, so I think maybe Derrida is introducing that thing of being like, not everything is like that. Not everything's going to be easy to understand. Like you can't just keep putting in these two things.
I think the Thanksgiving reference you're saying, just like trying to like expand that.
Yeah.
Like I actually just discovered this Thanksgiving that Thanksgiving isn't all about like happiness and giving. Like it was actually a pretty horrid holiday.
It's
like,
based on the genocide of the Native Americans.
So that just kind of expands on like, oh, like as Americans we have like put like Thanksgiving as this like box of like, great, this is Thanksgiving, you eat, you be merry, you happy, but actually there's so much more than that, right?
Yeah, and for me it all connects to like, there isn't a universal truth about anything.
Exactly.
Because memories are like not fixed, and history and like time isn't linear. So like,
but we try to make it like
we try to make it into like these fixed, constant facts.
Exactly. To keep it like linear and to keep it in the boxes, to put limits on it is to actually keep your way of thinking limited. Your work to understanding limited.
And everything's always, so like let's say like the Bible, for example, was written by like many people throughout the centuries, and their like memories or like what the truth was to them isn't like a fixed idea. It's always like gonna be like affected by or filtered through them, through the person.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't like be thinking about everything as like a
Black and
truth.
white.
Like a lot of people, like religious people today, they just like take what makes sense to them out of the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how maybe we should be thinking about things.
Should we?
Yeah, dive into.
Well, what does he say about deference in here? I will just, so on page 7, so if you guys go to page 7 in your readings,
If you have the text.
this is, I think, this is the first time that Derrida introduces deference. And I'll just read, I guess, the first few sentences, and if you guys want to butt in, you can. A written sign is preferred in the absence of the receiver. So how to style this absence? One could say that at the moment when I am writing, the receiver may be absent from my field of present perception. But is not this absence merely a distant presence? One is delayed, or which in one form or another is idealized in its representation? This does not seem to be the case, or at least this distance, divergence, delay, this deferral, and then he says deference, must be capable of being carried to a certain absoluteness of absence, if the structure of writing, assuming that writing exists, is to constitute itself. That's a lie he just said right there. So
yeah, so
thoughts.
Yeah. So how do you explain difference? Like, if you go in a dictionary and you look for the word difference, you just get more words. And like maybe you get a word like a deferral. And if you go into dictionary like and you look at deferral, you just get more words.
Right.
So there isn't like a fixed signified thing from the signifier.
And so then I think this is a good time to go into our segment called What We Thought the Theory Was. And so we're going to be kind of going over our response papers and what we thought difference was, and hopefully it doesn't sound too bad.
Yes.
So we're just going to be reading you kind of our experiences on difference, on Derrida, and all that.
Yeah.
And here on difference, it's kind of different than what we've been talking about during this episode, so let's see what I wrote. The exact definition of difference that Derrida gives us is the irreducible absence of intention or tendence to the performative utterance, the most evident written utterance there is. However, closer to the beginning, he says that it also can be a delayed presence or an idealized representation of the one that is absent, which seems to be a more romantic definition in my opinion. The slight difference in definition of difference comes from Derrida's theory of how writing becomes a form of communication. His definition of difference can refer to not only the absence of anyone outside the addresser and the addressee, but also the addressee themselves. They are not there physically as the addresser writes, or at least not yet. In one way, difference is not complete absence, but a distance between the addresser and the addressee. Though they are not physically together, through writing, the power of thought, and undoubtedly a strong connection, the addressee's presence can be felt by the writer. However, in another sense, if the addressee never sees what the addresser has written, the effect of the written word cannot take place, and the difference then becomes complete absence. But is it that simple? Can it be that there is only an effect in one of these instances? I believe that there could be an effect either way. For example, if the addresser writes a letter displaying all of their love to the addressee, and the difference is only a delay of presence, but they get to read it eventually, there is a potential of the addressee and the addresser coming together, maybe even living happily together. But if the difference is complete absence, and the words written by the addresser are between only them and the paper, then the addresser and the addressee go on living without each other, perhaps wondering what could have been. Whether one chooses to do or not to do, there is always an effect that comes with that choice.
So romantic.
You know, I was like,
So you're touching my heart.
my little like romantic heart was just like writing a story, and I was like, is this even what it means? I was like, I come back to it.
Same.
No, but that's like if we would say that there's like a finite, constant, fixed meaning to Derrida's text, like that would be like I think cheating Derrida. Like I think we would be like totally angry about that, because you know it's just about like okay, like when you go see a performance, you see like a dance performance, and like me and Arlesia go see a performance together, and I'm sitting there like thinking about like interpreting it as like being like the decay of the neoliberal system and like the Anthropocene or like something, and you're thinking about like it being about like violent relationship between two lovers, like
Exactly.
and like no one meaning is like more true than the other.
No,
like,
you're right.
And that's
You
the
know?
point of this. Like he wanted us to think about it, to generate all these different meanings.
Yeah, and like theory, it's not like not supposed to have like a distinct definition. I guess that's going into kind of, I guess, the violence of the binary.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying like this is this and that is that, then this is wrong and this is right. Then like there's no room for anything in between.
You're defeating the
And
point
so
of
and then
what
like so then you're
thinking about.
feeling if you're living anywhere in between, you're living wrong, and it's not. It's just you're living different than what this distinct thing is.
Yeah, like it's so understandable that humans have like put everything into binaries in order to make like the world make sense. But it can be so like, especially like I think for me, like I see it the most with people that like don't want to be put into binaries, or like they like think of themselves as non-binary. So like in Iceland, I only knew like a few people, like not that many, who are like non-binary or trans. So, but coming here, like the whole society, like the performance studies, like there are so many people who like use the pronouns they, them, and like I feel how it's kind of shifted my own mentality, or like the way I think about my surroundings, and it's like it's definitely affecting like how I think about myself. So, and I would say that it's like more free and open, like so it opens up this space of interpretation, like we were talking about with the dance piece. You know, I think it just like brings in so many possibilities, and like one can define themselves more easily,
Yeah.
more truthfully.
I feel like it's definitely shifted my way of thinking too, because I know whenever I'm reading something and they're talking about someone, just like anyone, they say like he or she can do this. It's like seeing like he or she kind of like makes me like a little upset. I'm like, you could just say they, because like because you could say they, and that opens up like an entire thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and like when you think about history, like, and people like you wonder like, what if Derrida or like whoever, like someone from history, like Jesus, I don't know, was like alive today,
Right.
like that, like back then they didn't know about these tools, but we have these tools today. Like, how would people think about themselves today?
Yeah. And how we're getting to shift, and we can have that free space of mind where we don't have to live in just here or there, and this isn't right and this isn't wrong, but all this is considered. Like maybe there's not just good or bad, but maybe there's things that are dangerous and like hurtful, and then there are things that are helpful and build, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So like your response paper is like just as valid as anyone's.
Exactly.
You know?
I mean, that's literally what Derrida wanted you to do. Is
Yeah.
to like call it into question.
And literally
Like, make your own meaning.
Yeah, and literally what he was calling a question, I was like positioning onto myself. And it's so funny how like that comes about, like, and I was reading it.
Exactly.
So meta.
So,
Okay, so we go to yours.
We're gonna do mine, and I have a totally different interpretation, but that's the point of this exercise, right? Okay, so I said the word différance is another entity that I have not encountered much. Actually, I've never encountered it at all, to be quite honest with you guys. At first, I thought it meant difference until I saw the accent over the I and the A instead of the E. In the Derrida reading, he mentions that différance is a sign of absence, but not just any absence. It is one that is idealized in its reputation, which is on page 7. I took this to mean that there is some type of symbolism in the absence of something. I was having a bit of difficulty relating this to a sensory experience, but the first thing that came to mind was sight. The absence of something can seem final, and sometimes it is, as the différance of dancers on the stage might signify to the audience that the show has come to a complete resolution, or that a certain scene is over. Derrida also mentions that this différance must be capable of being carried to a certain absoluteness of absence if its structure of writing exists is to constitute itself, which is also on page 7. And at that point, the différance as writing could no longer be a modification of presence. And linking this to a sensory experience, sometimes the absence of dancers on stage is final, signifying the end of the show, and this cannot be modified or changed by anything else in that moment. So from my experience as being a performer and like being on stage, I took this meaning deference, and the word that really struck out to me was absence. And I guess I really linked this to a very physical sensory experience, as opposed to you kind of like romanticizing it.
Yeah, no, like us going into like our different ways of like creative backgrounds. Like me, I like write romantic plays, and you're a dancer.
Yeah.
Okay, should I go into mine?
Mhm.
Okay.
Please.
So it's so long, but I chose like the last part. Like in the first part, I talked about difference, like kind of similarly as we talked about before. So I don't think I have to repeat it. I actually used the word bacon as like an example, because actually bacon is like what slices of pig muscle, but we've changed it into something else. So like that reminded me of Derrida. And then I wrote this text. Okay, it's about like the only way I can think of to combine all the terms with sensory experience is by trying to use words to explain something I can't understand, something I can only feel. I'm thinking about like the doubts about the world being made of things, and that there's a difference between subject and object, the knower and known. Quantum mechanics. The world is a chain of events, not an accumulation of things. Newton's time of present with past and future with present doesn't suit us anymore. Time is flexible and local, granular. These new ideas are moving into other fields, affecting art and politics. We are standing on the brink of a new understanding of ourselves and our world. Maybe like the people of the Renaissance, who were world-making and discovering the solar system, colonizing new continents. What's our new world-making? And like colonizing, very violent thing, The only rule of physics that doesn't go both ways is entropy, that the world is constantly moving from order to disorder, like a deck of cards categorized by color and type. With each shuffling, and the sorting disappears, and you've lost what cards go together. It doesn't matter how long you shuffle, the formality is gone. This is how the world is. I grow up thinking what I learned in school is a truth, that my life is a straight line. My own existence challenges me to try to survive. My center decentralizes. My parents die, and I don't know why I'm alive. The solar systems distance from each other, the black holes swallow everything, and that's how time stops. There's only the present, nothing happens, and nothing exists. This is a new delusion that we can try out. We can't know more than this for now. It's not only in space, it's closer and inside of us. Nothing is fixed, there's no core, no order. There's no truth, no science, no ideal, no God, just interest, needs, tastes. No responsibilities, just rights and demands. Art is consumption, and what matters is just who you are and not what you do. Fuck nature, I'll be dead anyway. This is like the quantum mechanics world without core or truth. Not a world where anything is, just a world where everything does, a world of events. And this vision is false like anything before us, but it's the best we can do now. Science is a step forward from one time to another. Art is too, sometimes before and sometimes after, but always the best we can do. What it is that really is, we will never know. Maybe there's a new Big Bang every moment, creating a world like ours in a soup of billions of worlds. We never know. We're just too limited. So we try to find something true, something fixed, just some context. Something that we can poetically connect with our primitive and emotional way. Beauty, empathy, love. It gives us purpose and a reason to live. We want to be better when we want to be better people. The only thing that we can maybe do is understand the beauty in it all.
No, but like kind of linking like what society thinks of it before, like kind of talking about like there is no way to like have the distinct right or wrong. It's like only you can only have your view of like your taste. Like it's not your view or your taste isn't like the distinct definition, you know what I mean? And then also linking it with like what you were saying with kind of like the not phenomenal stuff, but like stuff around the world where it's like maybe there's stuff beyond language that like hopefully we see like as we're going to that.
And what I was trying to get at is like how the impossibility of having language and meaning is what makes it possible to have meaning.
You have this impossibility of like that words aren't final.
Yeah,
makes this
is what
opens this.
What makes here's what you're saying. It's like acknowledging the limit is of those words makes us know that there is something beyond the words, that there is so much open, so much possible.
Yeah, and whether it's like God or whatever it is, there is something like beyond language. Like a lot of people like feel like they know that there's something
Bigger.
Yeah,
something
bigger.
more.
Yeah, but we don't have the language or like we don't have the capacity to imagine what it could be.
But there's a feeling, there's a knowing that.
Which is
Yeah.
why there's this theory to kind of help you critically think about this.
Exactly.
Which is what we were trying to get across to you guys.
Well, I guess talking about our responses and talking about what we thought the theory was and talking about what we discovered it was in class is a good way to stop. And
Yeah.
this first episode of What the Theory.
Hopefully we helped you guys understand a little bit more.
And if you
what
have any
kind of
questions,
that-
please comment. We love comments.
Yes, please tell us another theory you want us to talk about, another essay. But anything else, please like,
comment.
Subscribe.
and please come on back to What the Theory. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So nerdy, like.
Wait, I love the